All right, so this video is going to hopefully help you with number 7 on CR32. It says, what's the total volume of the object below? So what we have to do is we have to break the object apart, and we say to ourselves, okay, we have a cone, the bottom part is a cone, and the top part is a hemisphere, half a sphere. So in order to even be able to handle this problem, you have to make sure you know the volume of a cone, the formula for that. And the volume of a cone is volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h. So if we look at our cone, we can see our radius is 4 and our height is 10. So for your cone, your radius is 4 and your height is 10. Both of those items are given for the cone. Then you also have to know what the formula for the volume of a sphere is. And the volume of a sphere, volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. And I'm telling you, I really certainly hope that I remember my formulas correctly, because I'm just remembering them off the top of my head. But that seems reasonable to me. And here, if you look at your sphere, the radius of our sphere is 4 centimeters, okay? But we have to remember, we don't have a full sphere here. We have a half sphere, a hemisphere. So once we find our volume for the entire sphere, you have to remember that we only have half of a sphere. It's going to be really important. Once you find your volume, you're only going to need half of that for this problem. So I think I'll work that out for you after the fact. I don't think I'll incorporate the times 1/2 right here because it might just throw you off. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the volume of our cone. We're going to find the volume of our hemisphere, the half sphere. And we're going to take those two volumes, add them together, and that'll give us the total volume of the object. Let's start with our cone. So volume will be 1/3 times pi times r squared, so that's 4 squared times your height of 10. When I get the final volume, I'm actually leaving it in terms of pi. If the teacher doesn't ask you to round to a certain place, she will want the volume left in terms of pi, because that will be an exact value. Anything beyond that would be a rounded value. So let's go ahead and just work this out. And good thing, because I don't have a calculator at home, so I got to leave it in terms of pi anyway. So here I do 4 squared, doing the exponents first. So that's 1/3 times pi times 16 times 10. So that's volume equals 1/3 times pi times commutative property. I could really, and associative, I could rearrange these in any order I want and still get the same product. So I'm just going to multiply my 16 times 10 to start. 16 times 10 is 160. And then I have 1/3 times 160. So somewhere on your page I should see 1/3 times 160. Straight across the top, straight across the bottom. That's 160 divided by 3. Again, I have no calculator at home, so I got to work this out. See, in life, even if you don't have a calculator and somebody says to you, look it, tell me what 160 divided by 3 is, you can still do it. So that's what I'm going to do. 160 divided by 3. 3 goes into 16 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. Subtract off. Got 1 left over. Drag down a 0. 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract off. We got a remainder of 1. So this is 53 1/3. This is 53 1/3, remainder of 1/3. So this volume is actually 53 1/3 pi. Super. Let's figure out this volume. And then at the end, we'll add them up together. So this volume will be 4/3. This is going to be for an entire sphere. And again, then we'll chop it in half because it's a hemisphere. Times pi times your radius cubed. So your radius is 4. So that's 4 cubed. That volume is 4/3 times pi times 4 cubed. 4 times 4 is 16. Just want to make sure you know 4 cubed means 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16 times 4 more is 64. Alrighty, Rue, let's go ahead and multiply 4/3 times 64. I'm just going to erase some of this excess stuff so I have enough room. All right, things don't really want to erase for me. Okay, so we're going to do 4/3 times 64. 4/3 times 64. We can multiply straight across the top, straight across the bottom if we want. Holy schmoly, 64 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 6 times 4 is 24, and 1 is 25, so that's 256. So 4 times 64 is 256 over 3 times 1 is 3. So now I have to do 256 divided by 3. 3 goes into 256. 3 goes into 25 8 times. 8 times 3 is 24. Subtract off. Got 1, drag down that 6. 3 goes into 16 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. 16 minus 15, that's 1, so that's 1 left over, so it's 85 1/3. So this right here, this volume would be 85 1/3 pi. However, I don't want the entire sphere. I want the hemisphere. I want half the sphere. So now I need to take this volume and I actually need to do 1/2 times my volume. So I need to do, let me just erase some stuff. I'm going to leave the 256 over 3 because I'm going to need that in a minute. So I need to do, if I need to take half of this volume, that would mean I need to do 1/2 times 85 1/3 pi. Well, 85 1/3 as an improper before I rewrote it as a mixed number was 256 over 3. So I need to do 256 over 3 times 1/2. 1/2 times that. I can multiply straight across the top, straight across the bottom. So that's 256 over 6 now. So now I get to divide 6 into 256. 6 goes into 25 4 times. 4 times 6 is 24. Subtract off. Drag that 6 down. 6 goes into 16. 6 times 2 is 12. 2 times 6 is 12. Subtract off. Beautiful. 16 minus 12, that's 4. So it's 42 4/6. And if I'm estimating half of 85, yeah, it's about 42. So it says I probably did the math right. So this is 42 4/6. I could simplify that down to 42 and dividing top and bottom of this by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2/3, so 42 2/3. So the half the volume, so I can get my hemisphere, would be 42 2/3 pi. So that's the volume of the hemisphere. The half sphere. All right, so now to get my total volume, I have to take the volume of the cone and add it to the volume of the hemisphere. So let's just go for it. So I have to take 53 1/3 pi and add to that 42 2/3 pi. I'm going to add those up. It's still going to be pi. 1/3 and 2/3. Ooh, that's 3/3. Let's add these. 3 and 2 is 5. So that's 95 3/3 pi. That translates into 96 pi. So I believe, if I haven't made any mistakes in my calculations, and I'm not even going to act like I haven't made any mistakes, but this would be 96 pi centimeters cubed. Volume is measured in cubic centimeters. If we could fit cubes in there, how many would we need? We'd need 96 times pi centimeter cubes to fill up that entire space. Again, little disclaimer. Who knows? I had no calculator. I could have made calculation errors. You better double check my work and not just copy from me. All right, try to have a great day. Take care. Hopefully that helped.